In 1847, Brigham Young called the now Trolley Square area of Salt Lake City the 10th Ward, covering roughly 10 square blocks of the east side of the rapidly expanding Young City. By 1872, tracks were laid for mule-pulled passenger cars in the city from South Temple to 300 South and Main Street. Mules, however, were testy creatures and became spooked easily in the noisy downtown areas, often dragging cars off tracks or refusing to move at all. Riders would often have to get out and walk, or wait for periods of time before the animals would resume their charge. In the spring of 1882, the 10th Ward block became the site of the Utah Fairgrounds. At this point, Utah was still a territory in the U.S. and would not reach official statehood until 1896. By 1901, the city was growing beyond any expectations, and 23,000 people showed up that year for the last state fair on the property. The new fair park construction began on the west side of the city near North Temple and 10th West. In 1904, the city sold the grounds to a developer, with the fair park buildings torn down to make way for city townhomes. The townhomes were never built, and the property remained empty for a period of time. By 1889, trolley cars were to emerge as electric ones, with Walter Reed of the Salt Lake Railroad Corporation creating the first electric cars, beginning in front of the old City Hall. In 1906, the former Utah Light and Railway was purchased by railroad magnate E.H. Harriman, a passionate and wildly successful businessman in the blossoming train industry. E.H. was a former director for the Union Pacific Railroad. E.H. personally was responsible for chasing train robbers Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid all over the West for daring to rob his beloved trains. E.H. wanted to make Salt Lake City a hub for railroad technology and began by creating a state-of-the-art local electric trolley system in Utah. E.H. built the original trolley barns on the old 10th Ward property, complete with skylights and a 50,000-gallon water tower that still stands in case of the real threat of fire on the property. Blacksmiths and electricians were full-time staff, and eventually the center would service Salt Lake City to Holiday, to Sugar House, and north to Bountiful and Centerville, boasting 146 miles of tracks. By the 1930s, electric trolleys were on the wane, and soon bus routes were the norm, being a less expensive way to maintain a transit alternative. Soon by the 1950s, the Trolley Square barns were delegated to bus storage and painted a sickly yellow. In 1969, the property, all but abandoned by the Transit Authority and wearisome to look at, faced demolition in a very real way before a local family saved it, making way for a modern shopping mall in 1972. Architect Wally Wright took hold of the plans to rebirth the barns in the vision of San Francisco's Ghirardelli Square. The mall kept its history by accenting the barns with wrought iron handrails and red brick throughout, with modern updates for shops and even a movie theater for several decades.